When I was a kid, especially moving to the big city, Vancouver, from where I came from, I used to just watch traffic. Like a Testarossa would go by. I'd watch traffic for an hour. The Testarossa would go by. I'd be so pumped.
Yeah.
Now, the way social media presents it, it's like everybody has an Aventador except for me.
That is so true. Welcome to another episode of Modify with Trickfactory Customs. Yes, we've been live actually.
Oh, nice.
If this is your first time watching, we are Trickfactory Customs. We're a custom fabrication shop located here in Coquitlam, British Columbia, Canada. And this is our first episode back.
Of the new year.
Of the new year, yeah. So season 2
Here we
of
go.
Modify with Trickfactory Customs. If you guys don't know about this podcast, we usually discuss everything to do with modified cars or modifying cars because we build some really awesome cars. And sometimes we go not off topic, but we talk about other topics. Yeah. And so, with that said, we're just going to dive into today's episode. And on today's episode, we are going to be discussing car shows. Are they still important in 2023, or are they a dying or a dead thing? And when I mean car shows, I mean there's different types of car shows. There's the things like the LA Auto Show. What else? Pebble Beach. Yeah, that's one.
Yeah. Concours.
Concours, the Elegant. Yeah. All that
SEMA.
stuff. And then there's this regular stuff that some people put on in the middle of the night. You go to a midnight car meet or something like that, or on a Saturday, cars and coffee. And so we're going to dive into that whole world. But before we get started, my name is Elvis.
Tim?
I'm Rob.
Awesome. And what have you guys been up to all holiday? It's been a long one.
Overconsumption.
Of what?
Oh, lots of delicious food. Lots of drinks.
Yep.
Lots of good times with family.
Nice.
A little time to get away from the shop a little tiny bit.
You were not away from the shop.
As I say, a
You
little
were still
bit.
kind of working.
Well, I mean,
Every day. That's
because I love what I do.
Yeah.
And it's like I can't not be doing something.
Yep.
But a lot of that. So it's been refreshing, and it's nice to get back in the shop. So 2023, here we go.
Oh yeah. What about you, Tim?
Same.
Yeah.
Except for he left out a whole bunch of adventure during that time. We had a flood. We had all kinds of
I
other
forgot
things.
about that. Yeah.
Water pissing out of the ceiling on New
Christmas
Year's
Eve. Christmas Eve.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
so all kinds of challenges. We had a creek flowing into the basement of our top building.
Yeah.
There's lots of stuff. going on.
Things got flooded, and so
Cars got flooded and all kinds of drama, but we've got to spend a bunch of time working on my Evo, so I mean, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, we just
not as
published an
much as I
episode.
hope. Rob actually got to work on my car more than I did because our customers don't have any boundaries and still kept showing up all the damn time. So, and you know who you are.
Check yourself.
check yourself.
Next time you ask me when my car is going to be done, now you know why. So, yeah, that's what I've been up to.
Awesome.
No, it's been really good though. What about you, Elvis? What were you doing?
I was also spending time with family, but I also got to come in here. I smoked the turkey with your smoker.
yeah.
Oh, it was glorious.
Yeah.
And then I also worked on my Jag. Actually, the same day that I came in.
Yeah,
worked
see
on the
that
Jag.
was that the day?
One of the days. I worked on it 2 days.
Yeah, I think Rob showed up shortly after that, and that's when everything
Yeah.
went sideways.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that was that day.
So I was just wrapping the day up, ready to head out, and he called me, and
Yeah, we were
I
at
got
the
some
main
video you can drop it in here.
Oh yes,
yeah?
yes.
Actually?
Yeah.
Oh, really? It was crazy. It was not a pleasant surprise seeing the water flooding in all over the place from the roof.
It almost turned a Lamborghini into a hot tub.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you guys know, but here in the BC area, we got a lot of snow because of the Arctic whatever that was happening.
Global warming.
Global warming. And then it turned into ice or something. It started raining, and then that rain turned into ice or something. It was just a mess of everything.
Yeah.
And I was just listening to Spike's car radio, and they were just talking about them getting trapped in Lake Tahoe, and it was a disaster for them up there too.
Oh wow.
I feel horrible for them.
Yeah, it happened. It happened everywhere this year. Like this winter season's been pretty brutal. Like I saw some footage from like New York, northern New York, and Lake Erie, I think it was, and all that. It was just crazy. going on out there.
Yeah.
So we got it, but it wasn't like
wasn't
that.
as crazy as everywhere else.
But it's like it's just so suddenly, right? Like here, the weather changes so suddenly that nobody can be prepared for it.
So
luckily, we do spend so much time in the shop.
So that's good.
Otherwise, it could have been so much
Coming
worse.
back a week
If
later,
it
you're like,
come back
wait,
a week later to a
what's
swimming
that
pool?
smell?
Yeah.
Mold?
Yeah, actually.
So-
But the winter time, the holiday season was time for us to sort of spend some time in the shop working on our own things, and that's been nice. We don't get a lot of opportunity for that anymore.
Almost none.
So yeah. But
So-
I guess we're planning on doing more episodes for the Evo this year, though, because
Yeah.
we want to drive that thing. The people want to see some sound.
people-
No, not see some sounds. That didn't make sense. Want to hear it run. Want to
Yeah.
see it driving.
Yeah. And those, and the people, that includes even ourselves.
Yeah.
Like
I've never heard it run in
desperately-
person ever since I've been
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
So it'll be exciting. So I think we just have a dry sump lift and cross member stuff.
Yeah, we're doing a new cross member for the steering rack and in the whole steering assembly on the front of that car. I mean, that's a big issue, so we're rectifying that. That should be dialed in. We're actually looking to manufacture a bunch of parts or develop some parts
so we gotta
because
do-
we have 2 more 190s that are getting full engine swaps in our shop right now.
We have a new
And-
team member that we've just thrown straight
Everything.
into the
Trial
fire.
by fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So little Alex is just 3D modeling stuff as fast as he can right
Yeah.
now, and we're just pumping
I'm
it
like,
out.
I'm like seriously trying to limit how
How much-
fast
Yeah.
I'm feeding him
Yeah.
things. I need
I
you
don't
to do
wanna
this.
overwhelm
You do
him,
this.
so.
Yeah, because I don't want him to get scared and run away.
Yeah.
No, it's cool. It's exciting. So I think this is going to be a good year for us. I know, like, we're evolving our shop. We're getting some new tools to help out with a lot of really crazy stuff. And
brought on a legitimate mechanical engineer, so
yeah,
going to be
Nice,
building
nice.
awesome safe stuff.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Safe. That's very good.
be nice.
So, with that said, we're just gonna dive right in. So, car shows. Again, if you do not know, there are numerous types of car shows. Which ones have you guys had experiences with?
All of them.
All of them. Okay.
Yeah, almost, right?
Like going
Yeah.
right back to the beginning, like we've been featured at like your standard sort of Vancouver auto show, and where it's like all the new models, all the new
Manufacturers bringing out new
manufacturers kind of
products,
stuff. We've
yeah.
done those. All the custom aftermarket shows we've done, SEMA, we've done meetups, we've done all that stuff. So
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, we've we never took anything, but we've traveled across the world to Japan for the Tokyo Auto
Ooh, I
Salon.
wanna
We
go
were
to that
there
one
for
so
the
bad.
big Liberty Walk debut of the
Oh my gosh.
Some of their
What year
new
were you
products.
guys there? In Tokyo.
19, I think.
Oh my
2019.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been a few years. Desperately
There
want to go
hasn't really
back. It
been
was
much
cool.
of one. I think this is probably the first year that they're kind of like SEMA back in full swing. But we've done LA Auto Show, all those types of things. So.
And so, in all those shows that you guys have been to, is there, especially being in different parts of the country, because again, we're in Canada, so does it differ from Canada to the States to Japan, and what are the differences, if there are any?
I would say the vibe everywhere else, from here, like Vancouver specifically, here it's horrible.
Really?
I hate it here. Because like the camaraderie of leaving our sort of area and going competing there, like I don't know if it's because we're not trying to get the same customers as them or competing for the same customers or competing against them directly.
Okay.
I think it's more of a like that like-minded individuals. And it's like because we're not a threat to their pool of customers, it's a lot more fun.
Oh.
Like there's no tension there.
Yeah.
Whereas you go to a show here, essentially, I guess, is we're all competing against each other or have the impression that we're competing against each other and maybe potentially competing for the same customers, which I don't really believe at this point we are anymore. Because the people that are coming to us for
For a specific
specifically.
reason, yeah.
So I don't necessarily think that you're going to be able to steal my customers.
Mm-hmm.
You may try, and lots have. I've had my customers come right to me and be like, "Hey, man, this guy called me, told me to bring my car over there."
Yeah.
I'm like, and he's like, "No, I brought it here for a reason. So
Yeah.
this is what we're going to do."
Yeah.
So that's where I think some of the tension comes from, which kind of takes away from some of the fun for us when we go to these events. So I
That's
mean,
very interesting. Okay.
I mean, you just anywhere you go outside of your your local area is going to be an exciting time, right? You're looking at new cars, new motorcycles, you're meeting new people, and you're just getting those experiences, and those vibes are pretty cool to take in. And that's a big part of the draw for me, leaving our locals or our local area to go elsewhere. I like that.
Get fresh content.
Yes.
Because it gets repetitive, like especially if you're part of the scene, you're seeing the same stuff
Over and over again
and
at all
over and
those
over
shows,
again.
yeah.
So it gets like, not to discount any of these guys' cars, but it's like after I've seen it 25 times, it's like I can still appreciate it, but I don't care to see it again.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, that's about it, right?
so then the other side of it, that's where like those meetup things sort of take over from that point. So it's like nobody wants to see it at a organized car show anymore, but you can still go to a meetup and be like, hey man, what'd you do to your car lately? And it's like, oh, I've done this, and I've done this. Because beyond the huge aesthetic changes, it's once that's done, it's like what's
It's
on the
done.
inside,
Yeah.
nobody really cares.
Yeah.
It's like those, then it becomes like an enthusiast thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then it starts to pare down. Next thing you know, you're in a parking lot at Home Depot at 3 p.m. on a Sunday with just Audi guys.
Yeah.
So
no,
like-
I don't know how I feel about those like just Audi, like or like just one brand, or like the Beamer Club, and
Well,
all
I
of
think
them.
it's
I'm
just
like,
the progression of people not caring anymore.
yeah.
It's like, I don't care to see your car anymore. And then you're in this group and you're like, okay, cool, I don't care to see your car anymore. So then you like fall down the ladder till it's just you Audi guys. So like, look at this carbon doodad I put on. Like, damn, that's sick. I've been looking at that. So, and then away they go, right? And then they nerd out about it and do their thing. So there's a place for everybody.
No, it's true. Yeah.
So
That's also why I like the car community. Like it's like a like and hate thing, but there is a place for everybody, depending on what car you have, what kind of brand, if you're into JDM or Euro or all of that stuff. I used to live in California I lived there for like 4 years, but I love the car scene there because there literally is a place for everyone, and there's a car show every single day of the week. I'm like, how do you
doesn't
guys
even matter.
have jobs? Like, how do you guys even survive? But also, one thing that I don't like about it is this: there's a little bit of separation or clickiness, especially with. I mean, I love exotic cars, but there's a lot of events that you try to go to and you're like, oh, sorry, you don't qualify. You don't have a $300,000-$400,000 Ferrari.
I think that's the
or
big
Lambo. I'm
transition.
like, come on, man.
yeah, it's a big transition from when we started doing shows, and we kind of talked about it before this a bit. Is like you would do one of these big events, like I can't recall half the names of them, but it was like there was a little bit of everything. Like they tried to hit every single genre.
Yeah.
But now all these different genres now hate each other. So like it's all spliced off. It's like it's so segregated that it's not really that fun. Like it's
But not everything, not all is segregated, because even though I'm new to this area or to the Canada side of things, but I feel like I have been to quite a few car shows, and you still get a good mix, I think.
I think they do a really good job, like Driven, where they try to make it a decent mix and bring a couple of guys in, but then you have the other ones where it's like it's so cliquey that it's not even really a car show. It's more of like a meetup of me and my friends.
Yeah,
Like you know what I mean? And then they make it really intimidating for the new guy to come in, because the new guy rolls up and then everybody just swarms his car and picks it apart. And you're like, oh, that wasn't fun. So like you either have to come in so hard that you're undeniable, or if you're trying to get into it, I'd say probably now is the hardest time to get into the scene.
Why?
Because there's
Everyone
so many
already-
haters.
Oh.
So many haters, no matter what you do. It's like some kid will come out and he's so proud, like, I got this $2,000 hood. You're like, $2,000 hood? I got $10,000 rims.
Just trying to
Come around
one-up
here,
each other.
It's like, it's just so toxic. It's just painful.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see that. It's be difficult, and it's like the level of cars and motorcycles and stuff out there nowadays is so high.
Yeah.
Like the craftsmanship that we're seeing nowadays is so high that it's really hard to sort of match some of the talent that's out there. It's cool
Talent,
to see.
money. It's crazy.
super cool.
And then the
Very
stuff
inspiring.
the resources that people have now is insane. So it's hard to, like, young kids don't got a chance. You know what I mean? Like, we used to go to car shows to see stuff that other people were doing, and then you had opportunity to talk to them maybe they give you some guidance, but now it feels like war almost. You know what
I haven't really noticed that as much as you guys. Maybe it's also because I haven't been here as much, but like I feel like
we're attending these shows as a company.
Okay.
In competition.
Okay.
And I'm like, even the last couple of shows, like I've refused, like I don't want to compete. Can you leave me out of it? But even that is, they won't let me do that. It's like, I won't even register. Like they won't. I won't even fill out paperwork, and they'll still like, nope, you got to compete.
And you'll still win.
They need somebody to win.
We stopped officially competing for things like years and years and years ago on the advice of some gentlemen that, you know, that have been in the industry forever. They're like, you know, you get to a certain point, stop competing, you know, because you don't want to get taken out by, you know, the underdog or whatever, the favorite of the community. Doesn't really matter, but it's just not a good business model.
Like who's doing the judging. You don't know any of those things. So the guy's buddy beats you. He's going to go tell the world that he beat you. When in reality, it's like, it's super corrupt. So unless you can,
too.
So like the only shows that we really participate in one now is ones where we believe where the judging is legit and the competition is legit as well.
Not that it's skewed.
It's not based on hypes or social media following or any of this kind of stuff, because it's just, there's no value in it at all.
I think the real value is truly just bringing whatever you built and just putting it on display for people to, you know, to take in and enjoy. Like that's where the real value comes in.
True.
You know, like the competition side of it, like they might see like that's necessary from like the show promoter's perspective. And it is important for like some clients, you know, that might be their driving force on building a project. Hey, I want to win this. And you're like, okay, well, if you want to win this, we're going to have to do all of this and it's going to cost this much money.
But
you know?
I think that like in the early days, competition obviously drives innovation.
Yeah.
But then it sort of took a weird turn, and then it became about like wow factor and hype. And now you're starting to cut corners to create an aesthetic, which we've talked about before, stance, wide bodies, all this type of stuff. And they're taking away things that make it actually a good car.
Yep.
So, and then it even progressed to a point where we've done shows in the past where it's like you had to drive the vehicle in, like prove that it run and drove, that started, it functioned, because like
it has to be a vehicle.
Like, yeah, it has to be a vehicle because you're here at a car show, not, you know, kinetic sculpture show. And it's like there was guys that were like chrome plating engine blocks and had no internals in them, like all kinds of wild stuff. And that was like not so much in the tuner world, but in like a lot of high-end hot rod shows and stuff like that. Motors didn't even work. Like, you're like, how do you have a chrome plated engine block? That can't, in this, like, you can't. But they did. And so then it just got ridiculous. So it's like, now I see things are kind of, at least in our industry, at our level, are starting to take a step back, and everything's starting to get, like, there's being more focus put on drivability, serviceability, functionality, and the accolades are coming from being able to produce that rather than just produce some crazy looking car. It's like, how well does it work? How well does it go down the road? And like, can you work on it?
Yeah.
I was just showing Rob some stuff that is like, sure, it's a cool looking car, but a lot of these cars that were built like 10, 15 years ago, like you would hear people actually say like, no, that's going to be fine. It's not like he's ever going to drive this thing anyways. That's changed. Now guys are driving them across country and all kinds of stuff. So now it has to work.
Yeah.
So like winning those shows based on just aesthetics, I think those types of car shows are dying.
Yeah.
And then now it's transitioning more over to like building actual cars.
So that's where somewhere like SEMA comes into play, for example.
SEMA's like heavily in transition right now.
Really? Okay.
Because dude, right now is like the craziest time for SEMA, because you have guys like Roaster Shop and all these other high-end builders that are building amazing cars, like their Survivor Series. It's like, that's the perfect car.
Yep.
You have a Corvette that can go down the road, drive, stop, AC, Bluetooth. You got all the things, and it's amazing. And then you still got some influencer jacket putting his car together with duct tape and hot glue.
Yeah.
And he's being put on the same plane as...
Yeah, as them. Yeah,
so it's a weird place for SEMA right now.
And if you don't know what SEMA is, it's an aftermarket association that builders come to show their cars. Aftermarket people that are heavy in the aftermarket community come to showcase what products they have, all that stuff, just to give you a little bit more context.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
So
that's
yeah,
interesting
like
for you to point
that
out.
part of it is like you have social media influencers with very little ability
Yeah.
that are creating cars that are now judging people that have like dedicated their lives to it, and they have a team of like mechanical engineers and 3D designers, and they're using the latest and greatest fabrication techniques and materials and all this kind of stuff. And then you got some guy that hot glued some fender skirts onto his Mustang
And people
is
are
going to
crazy
judge you
about it, yeah.
it's like that's
interesting.
So that's why I think a lot of this stuff, a lot of people are losing faith in car shows.
Yeah.
I still think there's a lot of room for car shows, but they need to narrow their focus and get back to what they're actually about.
Yeah, I also think a reason, and maybe I'm wrong, but a reason I think why car shows are not as popular, even things like the regular auto shows that manufacturers bring their cars to, is because people have social media for the most part.
there's so
and
much saturation.
You're scrolling on Instagram or whatever all the time, and you're just seeing all of these cars.
And there's an entire genre of influencers that feed off of that specifically.
Yeah.
So it's like a new car drops, whatever it is, pick one, and you're going to have 8 different interpretations of what that car is.
Yeah.
Like almost immediately.
Yeah.
Like actual real, like I drove it here and I drove it there. I did this and I did that. So you can watch these guys do it. So it's like almost unnecessary to go
Yes.
look at it. So at that
So
point,
true.
all you really need to do is like, hey, do I like the way it looks? That's it. That's all you really need to worry about, because
Yeah.
it's like you can look at it 100 different places.
Yeah. And I've also noticed seeing cars in video, like you watch a YouTube video, you see it, and seeing it in person, a lot of times it's like, when you see it in person, it's like, meh. It's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't carry the same.
Yeah.
Like, I don't, you guys definitely remember, like, way even before me and all of that. But whenever, for example, you even saw a Lamborghini in person before Facebook.
Yeah.
Right.
Then you're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy.
Yeah, for sure.
Like that's a horrible reality. Because I used to, like, when I was a kid, especially moving to the big city, Vancouver, from where I came from, I used to just watch traffic. And like a Testarossa would go by, I'd watch traffic for an hour. A Testarossa would go by, I'd be so pumped.
Yeah.
Now, the way social media presents it, it's like everybody has an Aventador except for me.
That is so true. That's very true.
Yeah, but it's like car shows, whether or not they're that relevant anymore, it's a whole thing. It's almost not really that relevant anymore for a lot of people, because I mean, you just go online and you can see digital renderings of any car in any sort of, creator's vision that are like full 360 walk arounds or them driving and just absolutely nuts. Like,
That almost
that's
seems to be
a
enough.
pretty cool thing. And yeah,
Like it's for some of these kids, that's as far as their interest goes. It's
Yeah.
like they look at the render and like that's all they needed to see that it existed, and that's all they really care.
Yeah. It's like food or like eating a snack or something.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like-
I'm full. That's it. Next.
Done.
Like-
What else you got?
Yeah.
What are you gonna do next? Like let's
Yeah.
do something crazier.
Yeah.
But like in the reality, like we'll spend 2-3 years building something like that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then this guy just whips it up on the computer, puts it out there, and he's like
That's it.
king of the world. And I'll sit here, and I know we discussed doing this in a future podcast.
Yeah.
But it's like I'll look at it and be like, that's not gonna work.
Yeah.
That's not gonna work.
Yeah.
That's gonna rub. You're
Yeah.
gonna have no turning radius, like all
Yeah.
these things. So it's like that's almost like that amount of the saturation and all that makes going to a car show is like, and these kids have put tons of time, money, and effort, but they're being compared to something that's not real. So people's expectations are so high, so they get there and they're just like, oh,
man,
what a car
Yeah,
show.
this
It's
sucks.
like car show. like these are real cars. You're comparing it to something like, I'm not going to name a bunch of names,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like you're being compared to something that's not real. So then that trickles down. Like my here's a perfect example. I don't know if a lot of people know this, but we actually put on our own trade shows.
Okay.
So there was a time where our trade show was further out of town. So it was a much bigger venue, but not a great area.
Are we permitted to say like tattoo show or?
Yeah, we can say it's
Yeah,
tattoo show.
Vancouver Tattoo
We
Show.
own the Vancouver
what
Tattoo
dates?
Show.
What dates is it going to be this year? Just
It's
for people to
in
know.
March.
March. Okay.
So,
But-
anyways,
no, it's not March. It's May.
is it May? Yeah,
Yes,
it's May.
he's
You're right.
supposed
We haven't changed it this year.
It's in May.
So anyway, so previously when we did the tattoo show, we did it further out of town in a larger venue, but there's nothing there.
Yep.
So the venue was great, but the surroundings was horrible. So it was on us to create the vibe and create all the things to help entertain these people. So then beyond that show, we progressively moved it further and further into the city and then into downtown. Okay. So now where we are, it's amazing. So you got amazing restaurants, you got amazing views, you right in the center of downtown, you can go walk around. So we didn't change the show at all. We just changed the venue.
Yeah.
So all those positive things that come with it
are associated
to the show. And then everybody's like, oh man, this show is amazing.
That's awesome.
It's the best. It's blah, 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 blah. But it's not because of we didn't change anything.
No,
it's
you just
the same.
moved. That's
so car shows are the same. It's like people's expectations are so high. And then when they get there, they're just like,
oh, this is not what yeah.
So like before, when we were young, we went to car shows because that was our only opportunity to see that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
But now that's not the crazy stuff. That's the real stuff. The crazy stuff exists in the internet, and it's makes it really, really hard for guys. Like we've done car shows in the past and produced them, and like that was your goal, was to reach out and get all these crazy cars, all the best of the best, to bring them to one place. But now it's even the best of the best that actually exists doesn't compare with what's rendered. So it's really hard for these guys to put on a proper car show in the intent that they're trying to do. Because even me, I'm the same. Like you go there and you're like, whatever. Yeah. Like I'm doing crazier stuff. Why am I here looking at your stuff? Like it's so you get jaded to it. It's kind of a weird place and time for car shows. And then meetups is a whole nother scene. Like that's completely different. Because those are the guys that think they're real. But they overcompensate, and then you got a whole bunch of drama on that side too. So.
And do you agree, Rob? With
I would say so. I'd say, straight up. I would agree with that. It's completely different, and I think they're both. I think it's a good idea to attend all the different types. Really, I mean, meetups are really cool because you get a chance to get, FaceTime. Go high five somebody that's maybe like-minded to you, and that's an enthusiast-based thing, and I think that's really cool. I'm not a super social person, but like I think that's really cool. Like I mean, you're not really there to be judged for anything. I mean, directly, anyways. But you're there just to enjoy the automotive culture that comes along with it, and kind of here in Vancouver, it's not great. There's a lot of cliques here, right? Where it's nice. Like in the States, it seems as if everybody's kind of like these big sort of like families almost. Like it's pretty dope.
Yeah. I think it's just based on population though.
Yeah, probably.
Like there's so many more people that like us doing car shows and doing meetups, it's almost like everyone's turned into like little gangs. It's like you either support this shop or you support this shop or you support this shop, and it's like those guys suck. And you're like, why? They do the same thing we do, but everyone has like it's almost turned all our little local shops into like teams.
That's so interesting.
So it's like you can't support 4 or 5 different shops. You can only support one. And it's, I don't know, it's not a good way to be.
Yeah. So for me, I'm looking at it from a different angle, maybe because like whenever I go to car shows, even here, like it's like I'm just for the most part going as an individual, right, versus business. So I'm like, oh my gosh, this car is sick. Oh, that car is awesome. This is sick. And so I go there.
If you're honest about it, like you are, you can appreciate all these different cars.
Yeah, regardless of I don't even care who built it. I don't even know. I don't know. I'm not even from here, so I have no idea. And so, but it has been cool. So it's not all bad, I would say. Like
definitely not.
Yeah, like because I've met amazing people just from cars, and so that's primarily the reason why I go to car shows, is just again to meet like-minded car people, to just chat about cars and see what stupid thing someone has done or sketchy thing. The only thing that I'll say I don't like is when a lot of those car shows, like especially the meetups, they just escalate into like they start doing burnouts and revving, and then they have to kick us out of the parking lot, and the cops are called.
That's pretty much standard. Why do you have to ruin
this for everyone else? So that's one of the things that one of the only things that I dislike about car shows. It's just that, or those kids, or those people that they're like, oh, I just want to be cool. I just want to rev my Supra to 9,000 RPM or whatever the red line is, and just hold it there for 5 minutes and get everyone kicked out of the lot. And so, so I also think that's also what's causing some car shows to die down as well, because
I would say
whenever people see that, or it's like they just call the car, once they see any group of people in the parking lot, they just instantly call the cops because they've seen it on the news, they've seen it, and also the news people are not even helping out too.
No,
because I know of a lot of car shows, even in California, that a friend of mine was telling me the other day. They were just in the parking lot, like they had permission from the owner of the lot to be there, but someone else called cops on them, and they ended up shutting down the meet and all of that stuff. I ended up not impounding, but issuing a bunch of tickets to them. But again, it's because the news media called it a takeover, and it wasn't even.
The assumption is at some point it's gonna go sideways.
And sometimes it usually does as well. So so I feel like there's blame on either side for So it's that part is kind of like, I'm like, come on. So almost it's harder and harder to schedule car meets, I feel like, or to go to one, or you come an hour late and you find, oh, it's already been shut down. Okay, everyone go to bed. And so so I feel like that for me is one of the reasons why it's dying. It's because of the people that decide to be dumb at these meets, and the people that the civilians, or people that just randomly just call the cops because they think you're up to no good. So
and the other side of it is, like, we have some cars and coffee events that are here that are pretty amazing. Like, we've caught some where you have stuff come out, but it's like the opposite end of the spectrum. Like, you got to be up at 6:30 in the morning. You got to head out there. You're there at 7:15 with your coffee. And you catch a Miura that comes in for like 30 minutes and leaves gone, and then Carrera GTs and all this kind of stuff. So it's like, if you want to find it, you can go find it. Like, it's there. And some of the most amazing cars you'll ever see come out, but they're not about the car show life. So they'll come, have a coffee, talk with a couple other guys,
and just bounce.
Maybe answer a few questions, and then they head off for breakfast. Those are the ones that I'm more inclined to go to now than all these other ones, because those guys are legitimate enthusiasts and they want to talk to other enthusiasts. Whereas, like, I'll go to some of these meetups and you show up, and like, we usually show up with something pretty decent. And then next thing you know, you either got 20 guys that are like, holy shit, this thing's crazy, it's awesome, and they just want to geek out. And then you'll get like one guy that is like, did you do this? Did you do this? What about this?
Have you tracked your car?
And it's like turns into like a pissing contest. It's like he's throwing out random upspeak and like all this crazy shit specific to this vehicle. And I'm like, I don't care. Like, I honestly don't care. Like, I'm not so married to any one platform that I can't participate in those conversations.
Except 190s.
Except for 190s. Well, to be honest, I don't know anything about 190s.
No way. You're starting you're speaking of which, you are starting a group for 190 enthusiasts.
because I get so many questions. Like, literally tons of questions. And to be completely real, I know about one specific genre of the 190. Okay. Like the 2.516. Like, I've spent hours and hours and hours, days on forums, geeking out over that car when I first got it. But as you can attest to, I get hit up from guys all over the world hitting me up, asking me about the most random thing on the most basic version of a 190. And almost 90% of the time, I don't know what they're talking about. And then my Evil Evo, which has created this platform for me to be the 190 guy, I took everything Mercedes out of that car and threw it in garbage. There's almost nothing Mercedes left.
Except the SLS. No, not SLS. The control arms are...
and we're about to rebuild it and make it tubular.
So everything like, Mercedes is pretty much out.
Little Mercedes stuff left. So as far as like, you know, the 16 valve cars, yes, I know quite a bit about them. But as the regular 190s, there's like 14 different variations of it and different motors. And I don't know anything about them. Like nothing. So, and it's so much like that in the shop. We do such a wide range of stuff. By the time I'm done, then I know, because every car that comes in is like, okay, I got to research this car, find out all its little idiosyncrasies that I need to deal with that are specific to this model. And then I know. But going in, every time we do something new, it's different. And those are the conversations that I hate having with people. Because I took a Testarossa to Cars and Coffee, and it's like, does this have the K-Jet
Oh, yeah.
fuel injection.
those
I'm just
guys.
like, oh, I don't know. Pop the hood. man.
Maybe.
Look.
I know.
It's like, well, it only came on the 87 and a half year. Like,
Oh my gosh.
awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't have anything to do with that.
Yeah.
I just fixed all these things. So like maybe if I had to deal with that, I'd probably know more about it. But I'm also the guy that's like, okay, there's entire forums dedicated to this specific style of fuel injection and it's junk. Get rid of it.
Yeah.
Let's put electronic fuel injection in this thing. It's like, oh, you can't do that. You have to leave
You
it
have to
stuck.
leave it. Yeah.
Like,
Purist.
why? So I can't drive it?
Nah.
Nah.
Like, I hate that. Like, I don't think you should lose any points for making your car actually better.
Yeah, I agree.
Don't put fender flares on Testarossa. I'm still not about that.
Nah,
But putting a proper engine management
I
system
love
in
fender
it,
flares on anything.
100%.
Yeah. Yeah, I
So,
agree.
Those guys can get exhausting. And they'll wait.
Mm-hmm.
I've had guys wait like an hour for the crowd to clear so that they can just come and
Yeah.
And tell and school you.
like,
Just-
what's
just
your valve
corner
clearance
you.
on this?
You do space your spark plugs correctly?
Yeah, like-
Gap them?
Yeah, what's your spark plug
plug
gap?
gap?
Oh my.
What's your lift and duration?
For
You're like,
optimal performance.
I don't know.
Oh,
Yeah, that's car meets and
That's
things
car
like
meets.
that.
So I have to be
Typically,
in a
that's
proper
where that
state of
is.
mind to go do that kind of stuff.
yeah.
And I can tell you, there's been multiple times where I've got up in the morning with the intention of going, and then
You're
I'm like,
no, you just discourage
No.
yourself.
I can't do this today.
Oh my! You almost play the whole scenario in your head, and you're like, no, it's not
It's
worth
based
it.
on what I'm taking. Like,
Yeah.
do I want to go cause a splash today, or I just want to slide in?
slide
and
in,
slam
yeah,
and slide out?
Yeah.
So like, I'll just take my normal car if I
Yeah.
just want to actually go look at some cars and
Yeah.
not because sometimes I just can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah, we'll go and check out. Like, if we know something's coming up, if we've never been to it before, we'll go check it out and sort of like get the lay of the land kind of thing. Like, whoa, maybe next time we come back to this one, maybe we'll bring something, you know, or maybe we'll roll in there with the shop work van, you know, depends.
Yeah. Awesome. I think that's pretty much it. Anything else to add?
nope. But
Yeah.
I think next week,
Next week, we're going to have a follow up to this episode as
Yeah.
well.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think we can actually announce who it is. It's
Yeah.
already done. We're gonna bring Mark Cito in. He's the actual owner and producer of the Driven Show, so he's gonna break it down for us from the other side and what it takes to put this on, etiquette, requirements, judging, all that kind of stuff. So I think that'll be a cool conversation.
also-
to get it from the other side of the fence.
We're also probably going to talk about etiquette and things not to do at car shows and because there are some very interesting things that people do, and it's very interesting, especially when it
Yeah.
comes to car shows. So
I think a lot of the reason why car shows have progressed the way they are is because of the way people behave, which is taken away from a lot. So I think a lot of it to make these car shows successful is the etiquette and the way they behave and the way they present themselves.
we'll be talking about that, diving into that more next week. So tune in. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Again, we are Trickfactory Customs. So if you're interested or have any questions, you can send us an email at trickfactorycustoms@gmail.com or hello@trickfactory.com. And yeah, with that said, we will catch you guys next week.